y'all wonder why you never get called back for any gigs. The question is, do you know how to enhance a band situation? Can you enhance it? Okay, now let me teach. All right. Now listen, we got a lot for you in this video. I want you to listen to it, okay? I've had to move to 4 different states, 6 different cities, and in each city that I moved to, I didn't know anyone. And within a year of me being at these cities, this is in the last 15 to 20 years, within 6 months to a year, I was able to supplement my income with music, not knowing any. This is not somebody calling and saying, hey, my boy's coming down there, hook him up with a job. All right. And the reason I was able to do that, because some of you go to new cities where you don't know anybody. Okay. The churches are full, and everywhere you go, there's a musician probably already there. And you're trying to figure out how to get in. And so this is one of those videos that can help, because once you understand this principle of how to operate within a band setting, okay, once you understand how to do that, people are going to call you back, trust me. So in this video, we're going to address some things that'll be helpful for you. And you know what? And if you ever play with somebody who you just know that you just wish they knew what to do in a band setting, you need to forward them this video, because this is going to be the one that's going to help them. All right, let's get started. All right, so that there are 3 things that every band is looking for in a band member. Three things every band wants in a member. Okay. The first thing that every band wants is someone to enhance that band. They want someone to enhance it. The second thing that every band member wants is someone to enhance the band. The third thing that everybody wants, that all bands are looking for, is someone to enhance that band. By enhancing a band, let me make sure I'm clear about what that means. It means that you have the ability to make them look good. And it's not that you can just make them look good, but you know how to make them sound good. What's the key word here? Make who look good? Did I say make you look good? This is the key. Do you make them look good? Now, how do you feel? And I know we're going to get into the lesson today. How do you feel if you're a ball player and you have somebody who just, they hog the ball the entire game? How do you feel? How does that make you feel? Right? Because they're not Kobe. They're not even on his level, but yet they're trying to hog the ball, and then the other guy gets it. How do you feel about that person? Because whatever you're thinking or feeling about that person is the same way that a band feels in a situation when you make it about you and not about that. So the key, before we get into all this other stuff, the key to making any band look good is this. I'm telling you right this. I should package this and sell it, make $1 million. All right, because I'm telling you, this is where it's at right here. That's where it's at. So let's take it back a little bit. So I saw this I think it was a couple years ago when I first saw this. Let me see. Yeah, see the date is to 2010. So I saw this a couple years ago. I knew that I had wanted to transcribe it, but the problem was it didn't seem like the when I was listening to it, like the bass guy had all of the notes correct, and I was wondering because there are some times in here where he's giving the bass guy some of the notes, and so I was afraid to do it because I didn't want to play it without the context of the right bass note. But then what I did is I found where Javade uploaded a cover of the same song in the version. So what I did is I actually synced these together, okay, both of these videos, lined them up together, and found out that yes, the same track is being played for both of them. So it enabled me to line these up and play them together and kind of hear them side by side. And so, we have the benefit of both. We have the benefit of seeing a live setting of the same song and then a studio version. Although it's not true studio version because it says here that, he didn't even know it was recording. So this is kind of, but still a little bit cleaner sound though than the live sound because you can hear the obvious difference. You can hear the obvious difference between this. A lot of more dissonance, a lot noisier, and then this one, see, a lot more sounds, a lot more studio-like. So that would be the difference in quality. But there's also more differences outside of just quality. What you're going to see is I'm going to kind of explain a couple of things here. Now, if he had asked me, "Hey, I want you to play in this band situation," what would I say? What would I do? Well, let me tell you this. I would take 5 seconds to listen to this song, and I would decline. Because there's a lot of movement going on. There's a lot of movement. You've got, okay, he's playing keys. Okay, he's on bass. The drummer is a busy drummer, and I'm gonna explain what I mean by that a little bit later. But the drummer is busy, and of course they got a crowd here, so they're kind of showing out, and that's fine. But there's a solo in the background already. If there was no solo in the background, I'd be playing it. All I would be doing was soloing, and I wouldn't be trying to do all these fancy runs because I'd just be there trying to provide a melody for them to work with. That's it. But since the solo was he's got that solo playing, there's not a lot you're going to do to enhance that situation. You may just make it sound noisy because you don't know what he's playing. And that's why a lot of 3-member bands, especially with one keyboardist, work well unless you guys have coordinated some chords and stuff beforehand. All right, but let's keep on going. I didn't know if he meant to hold that note like that. I couldn't tell what that note is, and I have a good ear, but I could. At that point, I didn't know what the note was. Right there. Yeah. See, and then when he plays it here, trying to get to that spot. Here we go. See, it's a B. I can tell there. I can tell it's a B there. But on here, let me try it again. Yeah, see, I can't tell it's clear there. But again, that may not be the bass guy. That's probably more likely the quality of this video recording. But let me see if I can let me scroll back and see what that second note is. Okay, so he's going from a B to a C instead of going, they're not doing that, it's, right, they're doing that. And so let's see if that is being maintained here. So he stayed on a little bit too long. All right, so I see what happened. All right, let me keep on going. All right, let's give you those chords. So that's gonna be That's the first chord there. Okay, so here it is. I would do that. So basically, essentially, what's going on is usually it would be it's usually a E minor chord there. He's trading the E minor for the major. That's the basic. Okay, adding the 2, giving you that sus sound. And then for this next one, the next chord is on the worship. That would be just a B major 7 chord. But you want the melody on top, so this B this needs to move down here. So it'll be okay. So and of course I'm doubling up on that F sharp because I like that tone being dominated a little bit. And then on the U is just a simple D flat chord. And then but I kind of like that. And I was hearing I believe I have the F sharp in the MIDI file as well. I think I like that. Okay, so those are the chords. All right, let's get those walk-up chords, and I think they're going to be easier to hear in the cleaner version. So let's do that. Okay, next one, next one. All right, let's get those chords. So after the worship U, normally, I think most bands would, instead of going that A flat minor sound, they're going to the E minor 9 sound, and all the walk-up chords are just simply all minor. All the walk-up chords are simply major 9 chords. Go up to a F sharp major 9. Go to a A flat minor 9. Go to a B minor 9. I'm sorry, B flat. Go to a B minor 9. Go to a D chord. Go to let's hit a E chord in the right hand and a D diminished in the left hand without the F. Let's hear this. All right, so let's try that. Play that with him and watch how that works. And I'm moving real fast here. Where is this at? Oh, there it is. That's perfect. All right, here it goes. E minor 9, F sharp minor 9, A minor 9, B flat minor 9, B minor 9, D flat. Heard it? Is there anything you need there? No, I won't get it. No, go ahead. That's all I like. At this time, I'm going to move to some band principles and some things that are going to help you with the band. Earlier, we talked about some things that help, and that's to make them look good. But the big question would be how, right? How to do that. How do you do that? So, again, I like doing lists. So I'm going to do this in multiples. 3. And I would say that there are three main strategies that you're going to use to make them sound good. And we're not talking about a solo situation here. We're talking about a band situation. Sound good. And what I really should have said is how to enhance, because that was the three that we had put before. How do you enhance a band? And these are going to be concepts that are probably different. I don't think you've probably seen them presented in this manner before. This is a little bit different, but this is just the way I look at it and the way my ear tells me. I think the first thing you have to do, and of course I'm talking about keyboardists primarily, but you need to look at how busy things are. See how busy things are. Second thing we want to look at is your ability to enhance by using supplemental, or in some cases basic chord structures. And the third thing you want to do is look at the roll. So let's talk about what we mean by each of these situations, and I want to try to apply it to the song here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to talk over these guys and just kind of share with you a little bit of my thoughts about what's going on. So what I mean by busy is, depending on whatever situation you're in, people that are busy means that they have a lot in their playing, as opposed to somebody who's more laid back. So who would you say is the busiest player in this groove here? Who's the busiest person? All right? It should be obvious, right? Should be obvious. Okay, so our drummer is the busiest player. What does that mean? But what does that mean for me? Okay, now if I was playing this, am I recording right now? Yes, I am. If I was playing this song without a drummer, then I may. And some people may. I've heard some people do it like this. They kind of go And then other people I've heard do something like that. Now, why am I playing it differently? And then some people, they'll play no bass at all and just right, something like that. Now, why am I playing it those different ways? Because that first way, now ideally you would change the context based on. I'm not, and in this I'm really not showing you how to play it. I'm sharing with you what I've heard. But that first way that I did it, I don't remember what that was. Something like that or whatever. People shouldn't play like that if they're playing with a drummer. I would understand, because that way is very busy. It's the time that it was what we were talking about just a moment ago, where I said if there's a drummer playing with you, there really is no need to do all that movement. And in fact, let the drummer handle that, and your piano doesn't have to imitate that. In my mind, playing like that, all that stuff is just your interpretation of a drum set. You're trying to emulate a drum set so that people can keep time. That's the only reason you're doing that. Now, and that second one, when I was going, now what you're doing, you don't play like that in a band. That is if you were by yourself and you are purposefully trying to emulate the bass drum, right? Right? You're trying to emulate a bass drum and also give it a sense of timing. So it would make sense that you would do that. But again, that's in something like maybe a rehearsal, and you don't have anyone else, and y'all are just playing, and you're just trying to, maybe you can do that. You don't have a drummer, you can just kind of tap that. If you're in an organ, you can just kind of tap that on the bass note, just to give them a sense of timing. But I wouldn't, even in a live situation, I'm not sure that would be the best way to play that. And if I were you, I would let the drummer do the movement. Now, in that last one where I was just here, if you got a drummer and a bassist, your bassist and your drummer, they're locked in, they're playing together. On this kind of song, again, if you got two keyboardists, you can let one of the guys go, right, and he can just do that, and he could bounce it, and then you can have another guy, whether he's on an auxiliary keyboard or if he's on an organ, and he's just holding. Right? And so now they're working together because you've got, and I wish I could, if I was thinking beforehand, I would have just recorded both and kind of showed you how they do that together. But again, this is just a situation where you have everyone doing, now, and this is important, you don't have everyone doing the same thing in a band. The idea is complementary. The idea is that everything somebody does is complementing somebody else. And that is what makes things sound good, because everybody's complementing each other. And that takes time. That takes work. It takes people who've been playing together a long time. And it takes a certain degree of professionalism to make everybody sound good by complementing each other and not just making it about yourself. Keyboard is really busy, meaning that you now need to do less stuff. That's what it means, because y'all are gonna clash if he's doing a bunch of runs and he's doing all this stuff, and then you're like trying to. You can't do. It don't sound good together when you got two people competing for busyness, and so the situation is, you look and see, is there a busy person, or is this band, a lot of bands, when they've been playing for a long time, they seem more laid back, but they're actually quite skilled. They just have been playing together for so long that they kind of read each other, and they have that down pat. And so they kind of give each other the looks, and they kind of know that stuff. But don't think that you can come in there and just, just off the cuff and and show them, because in reality, if they're not being busy, I would probably just stay back. I wouldn't use it as an opportunity to try to show what I got. I'm gonna stay back and I'm gonna go to number 2 here, and I'm gonna start listening to the chords, listening to how they voice things, trying to make sure that my chords aren't clashing, right? Because a lot of us, you get in a band situation and you're trying to do something fancy, and you don't realize you're breaking all kind of rules. You're clashing with the rhythm and timing. This first one has to deal with the rhythm and timing, so you clashing with the rhythm and timing, and now you clashing with chords too, because you're playing notes and chords that may not be within the structure that band has. You got to listen to your bass guy, make sure that your chords are in line with what he's doing. Now let me see if I can find a good example of that. I may have to pause it, but when I find it, I'm gonna get you. He's telling him a style change there. He's telling him what he wants in the style. Go up to the 3, he says. That should be at the B flat. Go up to a B there. He wants a da-da. That should be a D and then B flat. Right, drummer showing out. I don't know if you noticed that. I don't know if you noticed, Let me show you something what happened just here. He was really quick to catch that. He was in the middle. He was in mid run here, and the bass guy came in, and again, because the bass guy sounded like he was about to do something, he had to stop because it would have clashed with the run that he was doing. Because why else would he stop mid run? Look at it. Saw that? Okay, so that's what's going on. So everybody, because when you're playing in a band situation, all three of these things all three of these things have to be, you have to recognize all three of these and try to figure out how to work within them and what's going on, right? And one of the things that eat me up, man, and I'll tell you right now, because I work with bands on a daily, and and if any of my guys are watching this, yes, I'm talking about y'all. The bass player can't just get into it so hard and start doing stuff that is clashing with what the keyboardist is doing. We're supposed to be working together. Remember, a band musician is a team. And the thing I tell people all the time, what do I tell you guys? I tell y'all that you're only as strong as your what? Your weakest link, right? So, the first situation is just making sure you learn your part. Make sure you learn the notes to the song, and don't try to cover up your non-knowledge of the song with improvisation. Improvisation is not a cover for what you don't know. Okay, and musicians can pick that out very quickly. So your first thing is learn your part, okay, and only improvise if you have to, okay. And this is I know my channel is based on improvising. I realize that. I know we like it. I know, okay, I get it. I do. But you will sound better. Trust me, you will sound better being simpler. Okay, you'll sound better being simpler. You saw again. See, this is exactly my point. Look at this, and it's not like I preview these things and watch them 50 times to know that this is the case. But I'm just telling you, this is just how it works. Okay, listen. See that? What's going on? He's stopping because the drummer is. Where's my marker? The drummer's getting busy. And I'm not attaching any kind of moral value to busyness. I'm not saying, oh, the drummer's bad for being busy. I'm saying, but that's the busy player, right? And if I'm coming into a situation where that drummer, he's already doing a lot of movement, I can't do movement on top of the drummer's movement because then I'm going to clash with him. And that's the reason why he was in the middle of he was about to do something and had to scale it back so that the drummer can do that, right? Now, in a night, well, let me let you say it one more time. No. Let me see. You see that? I'm hoping y'all are seeing this. Okay, this stuff is real. This is real important stuff. This is gold right here. I'm trying to tell you. Okay, and so what you want to do, and in an indecent situation, your three guys will work together. So you got your bass, you got your keys, you got your drum. Some of you got that rhythm guitar in there, and then and these you don't always want one person just drowning out. I used to play with a drummer, and every 2 seconds he's like, break, okay, hit a break, and he's just he's enhancing himself, right? And so I'm like, man, we don't need to fill up every silent space with fills and breaks, right? Like just hold down my rhythm, like hold it down, right? Now again, this is no reflection on these guys, because this right now they're playing for the crowd, so they're supposed to show them what they can do. But what I'm saying is that in a typical, I'm talking about a regular typical situation, you all three of y'all are working together, and you're allowing each other to communicate, right? You don't. How would you feel if you're in a conversation with one person, and that one person is talking over everybody else, and they're not giving anybody else a chance to speak? Well, then what you're gonna be thinking? Well, why am I standing here? Let me let me just walk away, right? Because why are you sitting there? Why are you standing there if the other person's doing all the talking? And music is communication. All right, let's keep on going. See, that was perfect. Now the drummer is now allowing the keys guy to get a little something in there. And he's just doing it straight. Listen to it. See that? See that? He would not have been able to do that, to pull that run off, if the drummer was going off in the manner like he was doing in the other one, right? So now this guy got to do something because now the drums is allowing him to communicate. Okay, and notice, and y'all saying, oh, well, he's going off there, but that's a place, that's a part where the keyboards can do nothing but hold the note, right? They're holding the note, so yeah, he can go off at that point, right? So that's a good place to do that. But again, listen, we're not. This is for this situation because it's the three of them showing themselves as a band, so that's perfectly appropriate. But you cannot take that into a choir situation and think that people are going to appreciate that, though. See, so everything is context. Everything is context. It's appropriate to do in this situation because they are in a band setting when it's just the three of them being shown. But if you are in a choir situation, you don't fill up the space with movements and breaks and runs and riffs because that choir is being featured and now you're kind of taken away from the choir, right? And so you kind of have to always feel, always kind of sit, trying to figure out where are we sitting right now? Are we sitting in just a band situation? Or are we sitting in a holistic situation where there's a choir and multiple things going on? Because then remember, the more people involved, the less you have to do. The busier it is, the less. The busier, the less. All right, the busier, the less. Let's get to this third one, the roll. What I mean by the roll, see what he's doing? I'm not sure if you noticed. He's clearly the MD of the situation. He's telling people what to do. Why would I say that makes sense? Because there's always someone to follow. And in a situation where you are trying to, and I'm going to come back, I know I didn't address this one a lot, but when you are trying to go into a situation, you got to figure out who is ultimately calling the shots. You want to follow that person, right? So everybody has a main person to follow. And you want to find out how to follow that person, what that person wants. Even if you feel like you're in a keyboard situation and you feel like you are better or more skilled than the person that you are playing with, if their role is, if you're at their church or in their function and their role is an MD of that situation, your job is not to come and upstage him. You've got to be underneath him and you have to enhance him, and you want to enhance what he's doing by making everybody sound good. Okay? So this really has more to do with just following. Okay, it has a lot to do with protocol, making sure that you are acting within protocol, and I believe strongly in that. All right, let me go to this next one. I may even cut this one off because I transcribed this one. Let's discuss the enhance. Okay. Let me see if I can play with. Now, I already said there's a lot going on, so I'm not sure I can enhance this one. Because major 9 chords on the walk-ups, for instance. There's not a lot that you're going to be able to do chord wise. That's gonna add to that without giving it too much dissonance. You know. Now, if you're playing maybe something on a solo, you can add to that. But there's not a lot I would add to that except maybe just playing those same chords and voicing them differently, but not changing the quality per se. You can have an F there. He's going to C minor 9 there. That's an A flat minor 7, B flat minor 7, E minor 9, a G flat minor major 9. That G flat is when you get here, a lot of people try to fill up. They try to fill up all the little movements in there, but I would just kind of be careful. Then just kind of play with them at first, and because what happened, especially in this song, everybody tries to fill in the the space in between, in between the bum 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 bum, and then, but the problem is if everybody fills in during that time, it doesn't sound good because it's like everyone's trying to do a solo. It's like everybody trying to do a solo at the same time. So that's why when I'm doing it, I just kind of, if I'm playing with a band, that's all I do. I just kind of get off my keys and just kind of try to figure out who's going to take that middle, that solo part. If nobody's doing anything, and then I'll probably do something. But if the drummer or if the bass guy is doing little riffs and stuff during it, I'm not going to do anything. And then again, this is a band situation, not necessarily a singing situation. Okay, let me keep playing. See that? And the only reason, and just now, the only reason the bass and the lead work together was because he sequenced that beforehand. It's rare. It's very rare that a bass guitarist and a keyboardist are going to, on the cuff, implement a run at the same time, and it just match perfectly. So that's why you have to be careful and know which one is in the lead. E minor to a E flat minor on those. Keep going. Walking it. And then. Down up. D to E flat minors. Here I would just kind of play the melody. See, it just sounds good like that. You don't have to do a lot. See, and on that there, when he moves to a nice chord movement there, where he moves to a let's do that again. How do I? Okay, so what they're going is the keyboardist sounds like he's doing a C9, right? But the lead, whoever's playing, is, whereas the keyboardist is going. Yeah, so I would say going from a C minor 9, but while he's doing this, your lead guy is going. Right? So hear that. yeah, I'm gonna put them on a. I'm actually gonna put yeah, I'm gonna go from a C minor, a C, essentially a C minor 9 to a B flat minor 9. I think that's what was intended for that particular phrase there. And let me make sure. Yeah, that works. Okay, so those are competing complementary chords there, so you can use that. In addition, and it would be kind of risky to pull this off. You could probably get away with using a G7. So while he's now and again, it would be kind of tricky to pull it off. But while he's going, but I said B flat minor 9, but in essence, it's the upper. Okay, so here's what I want you to do as we close. Get with your band. I think this video would be a good video for anyone who is in a band, especially if you're just starting out, or if you are beginning. Kind of have the discussion of where you want to go, okay? Because what we have is uniform. That's where everyone is doing the exact same thing. And a lot of bands who focus on this will play exactly what they hear to the T. Okay, so if you're learning a song for something and you play it just like the record, for instance, you're not making any changes. And then you have a whole lot of diversity. And what happens when a band is focuses on this section, when they're focused on this section, it's a lot noisier, a lot busier. Not that any of these are bad necessarily, okay? Because in some situations you want a more diverse sound, depending on the crowd and the audience, and at other times you may want a more uniform sound. But what we have to get to, okay, ultimately, is kind of some kind of a combination of the two, which is what I think all bands should strive for. And that is complementary. That we're not trying to be alike. And we're not trying to be so different that we are ignoring each other, right? This is the same thing for relationships. So it's going to work in a band setting as well, where the idea is that we are trying to figure out how do we complement each other. And the nuts and bolts of that have to be discussed from band to band. But the discussion has to be had. You can't just throw people together and then not know what's going on and who's doing what, so you kind of have to have those discussions. Musicians who've been playing a while know that, and even they can feel each other in the looks and kind of looks that they give each other and things like that, or sometimes helping with each other out by throwing up numbers and things like that but there's got to be communication. We can't emphasize that enough. But don't just throw people together and expect them to sound good, okay? You got to have a leader. You have to have an MD. But you want to make sure that at all times, how do we play together? How do we make us sound good as a unit? Not just one person, but as a unit. And that's something that we should all do. So I think that this video, it would be good for anyone. Share it with people. If you have a church band, share it with them. This can only help. And again, this video is only a foundation. It doesn't really go into the nuts and bolts of how to make it work necessarily. I think that has to be something that's decided with each band, and it would go way beyond the scope of this video. We'd need at least 10 to 15 videos to probably address something like that, but I think this is a good starting point. All right, so we'll see you in the comments. Are you in a band right now? Do you know people who may need this help as far as how to play within the band setting? Let me know in the comments, and we'll see you later. Thanks again. Make sure you check out the MIDI file again, and if you want that, the link is in the description. Don't forget to like the video and comment, and we'll see you later.